What is up, guys? It's Fresco back again with part 3 of the How to Repaint Midsoles series. Today we're going to be talking about probably the most anticipated video of them all, repainting. Now at the end of the video, you're going to be able to see absolutely everything come together for our final results. Now I want you guys to stick around because I have tons of tips and tricks to help you guys get a clean repaint. I know that I'm always talking too much in these intros, so I just want to end off by saying this. If you haven't had the chance, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification as well, so that way you guys are notified each and every time that I drop some new content. Don't forget to go over to Instagram and follow me at fresco.corp, so that way you guys can keep up with all things Fresco. From here, all I need you guys to do is to sit back, relax, take some notes. Let's get started.
Alright guys, so first things first, let's knock out that paint match and get that out of the way. Fire Red from Angelus is going to be the base for the mix. You'll also need Infrared 2014 version and Red. If you try to repaint Fire Red 3s in the past, you and I both know that the pre-mixed Fire Red is off. The mix ratio is going to be 3 to 2 to 1. An easiest way that I make my paint matches is by using these disposable syringes and mixing jars. You can use this straight out of the jar for painting by hand, or you can also add too thin to the mix and use the airbrush. Next, what I'll typically do is take some tape and stick both ends together with the adhesive side facing outwards. This may seem silly, but it helps a lot on having a clean repaint because it's going to pick up any kind of debris or any kind of lint that the midsole may have picked up while being handled. For repaints and even customs, an adhesion promoter such as Bulldog is going to be your best friend. This will help the paint adhere better to the midsole. You'll see the spray on the midsole, but I'm doing very light coats. You don't want to overspray either. Next, we will be using Angelus Flat White. This step is extremely important because even if I'm using an airbrush for my repaints, I always start off with a light base coat by hand. A base coat will allow for a much smoother airbrush application. Alright y'all, so I know that y'all have had some moments where you hate the fact that you can see brush strokes like crazy on your repaints. Well, a way to avoid that is simple. Relax. Allow your wrist to have a seamless motion back and forth quickly so that the brush will apply paint but also erase the brush strokes along the way. When I learned this, my repaints by hand came out way better. Also guys, remember that when it comes down to paint, less is more. Always do light coats and stretch out the paint as much as possible. Saturating areas too much in paint will cause for a shorter lasting repaint. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the process for the sake of the video. Of course, once you're done with each coat, make sure you dry it by using a heat gun or a blow dryer. Painting over paint that hasn't fully dried can cause botches that'll start your repaint off bad. Now, as you guys noticed, for the purpose of this video, I'm doing 2 very light base coats by hand. That's really the most that I would ever recommend if you're going to use an airbrush as well. But I'm doing this to demonstrate that during your coats, if you notice that there are any blemishes that you want to get rid of, you can use an extremely fine sandpaper to sand lightly the areas that you want to touch up on. Make sure that you blow away all the debris so that way it doesn't mess up your repaint. You can use a blow dryer or a soft bristle brush like a toothbrush to be able to get into the air bubble areas. Now, if you're painting by hand, keep going from there. But remember, the base coats, 1 to 2 coats only. Jacquard opaque white is what we'll be using for the last white layer if you're going to be airbrushing. Alright guys, so you'll see that for the purpose of this video, we'll jump from one part of the midsole to the other, and I'll also make sure that I speed it up for you guys. You can also sand down blemishes a coat may have even when airbrushing, and I'll show that part again. Guys, like I said before, less is always more. It may seem like this is my 30th white layer, but in reality, for demonstration purposes, the sanding calls for one more layer on my part. Blow dryer again to speed up the drying process. And voila! Crispy, crispy. LK top coat is up next. If you don't know why, this is where it gets interesting. Have you ever masked off the accent parts of a midsole, and when you went to take the tape off, some of the paint comes up with it? Well, this trick will avoid that. You don't necessarily have to use LK top coats, you can use any sealer or finisher as well. Okay, now for the fun part. So here you load up your gun with the paint mix that we did in the beginning, using your disposable syringe, and you get to spraying. Alright, y'all. So we all know that as a customizer or a restorer, sometimes you have those 3 a.m., 4 a.m. cutoff nights, or sometimes you don't even go to sleep at all. Well, this one hurt bad. The crazy thing is, this is the part where I realized I messed up. Man, can y'all believe that I taped off the midsole incorrectly?
Bruh.
I know, it's a rookie mistake. But you know what? It's all good, because as long as you know how to fix it, you can still redeem yourself. It's a good thing that I have another pair that I can keep working on in the meantime. And now that we've got a bit more rest, let's go through masking off the right way. Y'all know that I'm always looking out for y'all, so for the sake of the video and you guys, I'll speed this up for y'all again. Again, don't be afraid to use your fingernails and get the tape into the small crevices so it doesn't come up when you're repainting. And when airbrushing, it never hurts to be precautious. So, a good tip is to use napkins to cover the uppers or the areas that you don't want to accidentally paint. Alright, take 2, let's try it again. When airbrushing, I always start off light on the first coat and I pick up on the second, and if necessary, on the third. Overall, I don't recommend more than 3 to 5 coats in total of all colors combined. Like I mentioned before, too many coats can also hurt your work in the long run by it not lasting. Here's the moment where normally your heart would drop to your stomach. But you listened and you followed the step that saves your repaint and you have nothing to worry about. Finally, the finished product. Once you're all done unmasking the shoes, you may need to do a little bit of cleaning up here and there around the edges of the uppers or the outsoles, and also just a few other details like maybe taking off the tape from the air bubbles. But other than that, enjoy what you've done, because this may have been your first clean repaint, but from now on, it won't be your last.
Alright guys, now that we're finished up with this repaint, I hope that y'all were able to take a lot of new tips and tricks to add to your arsenal. If you guys have followed all 3 videos, not only should you guys end up with a clean repaint, but also a lasting one. Now all links to the products that I use in this video will be in the description down below. Remember, if you guys found this video informative, make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so that way you guys are notified each and every time that I drop some new content. Like the video. Also share it with a friend and comment down below what you guys would like to see me do next. Head over to Instagram, follow me, fresco.corp, for you guys to keep up with all things Fresco. Once again, I always appreciate you guys' ongoing support. And until next time, Fresco out.